Hello, church family. Welcome to today's Sunday school lesson. We are in session 2 this week called Proclaimed. And our key idea this week is Jesus is worthy of us telling others about him. And we're in Mark chapter 1, verses 35 through 45. We're going to be looking at what Jesus did first before or at the beginning of his public ministry. But before we look at that, we're going to ask the question, what topics of discussion most interest you, and how do those topics relate to who you are as a person? What are you interested in? What are the things that interest you? And do you talk about them? That's what that question is asking. Because we as people, we love to talk about the things that we love to learn about, the things that captivate us, the things that keep us interested. We want to share those things with other people, whether it be politics or sports or the economy or fishing or whatever it may be. We want to talk to other people who are also interested in that thing. When I'm around other musicians, I talk about music. When I'm around other nerds, we talk about tech. When I'm around people who love to fish, we talk about fishing. Those are the things that I like to talk about. But everything, what we're going to see today, everything should lead to us talking about Jesus, because that's what we're most interested in. And the idea is that Jesus shared the gospel, Jesus preached the gospel. That's our calling as well. So just a little bit of context for today. This is directly after Jesus came out of the wilderness. John has been arrested, and Jesus is beginning his public ministry. He has just finished preaching, and he has gone off to a secluded place. Let's pick up in verse 35 and read all the way down to 45. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, and made his way to a deserted place, and there he was praying. Simon and his companions searched for him, and when they found him, they said, "Everyone is looking for you." And he said to them, "Let's go on to the neighboring villages, so that I may preach there too. This is why I have come." He went into all of Galilee, preaching in their synagogues and driving out demons. Then a man with leprosy came to him on his knees and begged him, "If you are willing, you can make me clean." Moved with compassion, Jesus reached out his hand and touched him, saying, "I am willing," he told him, "be made clean." Immediately the leprosy left him, and he was made clean. Then Jesus sternly warned him and sent him away at once, telling him, "See that you say nothing to anyone, but go and show yourself to the priests and offer what Moses commanded for your cleansing as a testimony to them." Yet he went out and began to proclaim it widely, to spread the news, with the result that Jesus could no longer enter a town openly, but he was out in deserted places, and they came to him from everywhere. So when we look at the first part of our passage, we'll see Jesus's focus, what his goal is. It's very focused. Let's read this together, the first 5 verses. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, he got up, went out, and made his way to a deserted place. And there he was praying. Simon and his companions searched for him, and when they found him, they said, "Everyone is looking for you." And he said to them, "Let's go on to the neighboring villages, so that I may preach there too. This is why I have come." He went into all of Galilee, preaching in their synagogues and driving out demons. So we see here that Jesus' ministry is very focused. He was focused on preaching. He wasn't focused on healing. He wasn't focused on working miracles. And the disciples have this focus of, everyone's looking for Jesus. We have to go and get him in front of all the people. And Jesus is like, I've already preached to them. I'm going to go preach to other people now. I'm going to spread the good news of the kingdom of heaven, how it's come, and how people can be a part of it by believing in me, the Son of God. So how did the focus of the disciples differ from the focus of Jesus? Well, they were focused on the people who were looking for him. They were worried they were going to be letting people down by not giving them more Jesus. But Jesus said, I've already preached to them. I've already been with them. Now it's time for me to go be with others. And why might a person get confused about the mission of Jesus? Well, when we think about Jesus, we think of somebody who came to love everyone, who came to heal the blind, to heal the sick, to make the lame walk again. All of these miracles of Jesus. But that wasn't Jesus' ultimate goal. As we'll see, his ultimate goal is preaching, and preaching the good news of the gospel, just as it should be ours. Let's pick up in verse 40 and see the attitude of Jesus. When a man with leprosy came to him and on his knees begged him, "If you are willing, you can make me clean." Moved with compassion, Jesus reached out his hand and touched him, saying, "I am willing, be made clean." Immediately the leprosy left him and he was made clean. We see here that Jesus is compassionate. He takes pity and compassion upon those who are sick, who are hurting, who are dealing with major issues and even minor issues. But this man was dealing with leprosy and asked Jesus to cleanse him. So what keeps us from showing the same compassion? What might keep us from showing the same compassion as Jesus? It could be a number of things. It could be things like somebody looks different. We're afraid because they're different than us. We're afraid because they might reject the thing that we're trying to tell them. We're afraid because, well, what if we come off weird? What if I lose a friend? We might be afraid. We might not have the compassion towards someone and think that they should get up on their own and do the thing that they are supposed to do. Or we could be cruel and expect people to stay exactly where they are and never get any better. Jesus didn't have that motivation. Jesus was compassionate even to the lowest of society, the ceremonially unclean, like this man. So what types of compassionate behavior would reinforce a verbal proclamation about Jesus? Well, when you go to share the gospel with someone and meet their spiritual needs, it's also very important and good for us to also meet their physical needs, and vice versa. If we're going to meet physical needs, we also need to meet spiritual needs as a church. It's important for us to not only feed the hungry physical food, but also feed them spiritual food, give them the gospel, share Jesus with them. And doing so, it reinforces the idea of this is why we do this. We feed people. We bring food to the little free pantry because we love Jesus, we love people, and we want people to get to know Jesus and become part of his family. And so what can we learn by Jesus's actions here? What are some ways that we can put these principles to action every day? We can learn that we can be compassionate even to those who we consider to be the lowest part of society, those who are dirty, those who are ceremonially unclean. We don't deal with ceremony like the Jews did. We don't deal with people who are ceremonially unclean. We don't make them outcasts in the village or anything like that. But we do with our actions. We do when people mess up, when people make mistakes, when people have had a rough go of it and they look rough. We have a habit as a society to push that person to the margin, to push that person aside instead of taking compassion on them. And finally, Jesus proclaimed the message, and this is what he said, verses 43 through 45. And not just Jesus, the man proclaimed. So verse 43, then he sternly warned him and sent him away at once, telling him, "See that you say nothing to anyone, but go and show yourself to the priest and offer what Moses commanded for your cleansing as a testimony to them." Yet the man went out and began to proclaim it widely and spread the news, with the result that Jesus could no longer enter a town openly, but he was out in deserted places, and they came to him from everywhere. So why did Jesus tell this man, don't tell anybody what happened except the priest, and give him an offering for your cleansing? Well, Jesus didn't want to be known merely as a miracle worker. The miracles were signs. They were good things. He did them because he loved people and he had compassion on them. But they weren't the ultimate goal, brothers and sisters. The ultimate goal of Jesus was to share the gospel and then to go to the cross. His public ministry was to show compassion to the people, not through his actions, his healings, and his caring for, but through his words, his teachings, the Sermon on the Mount, all of these things. That was his primary goal. And since people talk about the things that interest and captivate them, why do we as believers speak so sparingly about Jesus? Have we gotten bored with him? Have we gotten over the first love that we had of Christ? This idea that this is our first love. This is the one that we are enthralled with because of his great love for us. And why do we not talk about him to those who need him most? This is a challenging question, even for me. I am not any better than anyone else at sharing the gospel. I tend to not think about sharing the gospel minute to minute, and I should, because Jesus did, and Jesus was concerned with it, and I should be concerned with the things that Jesus was concerned with. So thank you for being with me. I hope you take this as a challenge to share the gospel with someone, to not neglect to speak into their lives like Jesus spoke into the lives of people, and that you can share the gospel with them. I look forward to worshiping with you tomorrow. I look forward to worshiping with you tomorrow evening at the HBA family gathering. It'll be a good time, and I'll see you there. Bye-bye.